Are you a Star Wars fan or a Trekkie? Both franchises stand for very different things, and most people tend to align themselves with one or the other. But I'm interested in looking at how the composers of each, John Williams for Star Wars and Alexander Courage for Star Trek, both managed to capture musically the essence of what each of these different universes is about. Star Wars is about the fight between good and evil. The good have morals, and they're prepared to die for their ideals through the themes of knighthood and chivalry. There's a sense of identification with a feeling of well-being that comes from knowing that one is doing right. In musical terms, this well-being has always been historically achieved by reinforcing the natural harmonics of any fundamental. What am I talking about? Here comes the science bit. When we bounce a basketball, the ball moves downward because of a sum of two forces, gravity and the force exerted by our hand. We fine-tune our manual force so that we make the ball return to the same height so we can keep bouncing it. But in physics, there is something called resonance. Resonance is when a given system is caused to oscillate with greater amplitude by another vibrating system. In plain English, what this means is that if I choose my force and my timing precisely, I can increase the bounce of the ball in every bounce, reinforcing its natural oscillation. When we play a note, any note, but it's easier to hear from a low note, a series of natural harmonics occur. Natural harmonics are notes that are in resonance with the main note, with the fundamental, in the same way that the basketball was coming into resonance, we bounce it higher. The natural harmonic series is, from the bass note, the next octave up. This means the same note in the pattern. Do you see the one next to the two black ones here? Then the fifth above that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These two. Then the next octave again, so this one here. So you have 1, 2, 3 times the same note. This fifth appears again over here, and in between we have a third. So basically, these are the main three natural harmonics, the first ones that appear when we play a bass note, and they're more and more spread out as you go left and you go downward, like that. So let's see if we can hear them. Now I'm going to play the bass note, and I'm going to play notes that don't reinforce the natural harmonics. I'm going to play different notes and see if you can hear and feel how that feels like a clash and that it's not a resolution at all. And contrast that again with reinforcing the natural harmonics. So this chord, that one that has the natural harmonics, is called a tonic chord. And as we've seen, we can play the 1, 3, 5, we can play them anywhere up and down the keyboard because they're the same notes. So I can play etc. that way, or I can go down. Like that. So, you can choose any position of the chords, any disposition, any arrangement of those notes that you like, depending on what kind of piece you want to play. So this chord is the same as this chord, and it's the same as this one. And these are exactly the chords that make up the theme of Star Wars. comes a different one, and this one again. The different one followed by the other two. Very slight detour into one of the black notes. And now comes a contrasting part where he moves away from that tonic chord into a different chord, suggesting adventures, romance, travel. Something maybe slightly exotic. And if you look closely, we've already got two of the same notes that we need to be for the tonic. Etc. So this is why the Star Wars theme feels heroic, and it feels right, and it feels good. It's because it reinforces constantly all those natural harmonics. For a while it kind of detours like that, but what it's about the hero and the triumph, and the constant reinforcing of the place of well-being. In Star Trek, however, the main theme is not chivalry nor morals, but rather the journey. To seek out, to explore, to boldly go. The prime motivation in Star Trek is movement, to avoid stasis. Of course there's good and evil, and there's romance, and there's all of that, but that's not what Star Trek is about. In the same way that Star Wars is not about the space travel. How does a system maintain perpetual motion? A surfer is always propelled forward by the wave. If the surface the board rests on were horizontal, the surfboard would remain still. But the wave is always inclined at a degree at the point of contact, pushing the surfboard away. But in the same instant that the board is pushed away, the wave has advanced again, pushing the board away yet again, and the cycle continues. In musical terms, Alexander Courage has given us a theme for Star Trek which does just that, where John Williams was kept very close to the natural harmonics, reinforcing rootedness. Courage has come up with a theme that uses not only all the notes of the scale, but all the notes of the keyboard, flying off into even more uncharted harmonies. The idea is that when we play the notes from this chord, the one that reinforces the natural harmonics, everything is resolved and settled. So we can add other notes into that, and it depends what you want to do as a composer. Different notes have different effects. So if you add this one, for example, it sounds like this, which I find a little bit grating. But you can also add this one, the note number 2. 1, 2, 3, 5. And that's quite pleasant. And that kind of means we're not still, but we're not really going too far anywhere either. It's like a pleasant unsettled. And this happens to be the first chord of the Star Trek theme. Here we've gone somewhere else. I'm going to move these two notes over into here so you can see more easily what they are. And that is how far we've gone from our point of departure. And we go to this other place. I'm going to move this note over here. So even further from the beginning. where are we going to go now? Are we going to go back to the tonic? No, we're going to keep traveling. This is a familiar friend. And we've been here before, only it was here. Now it's the same place, but even further. And this chord sounds like we're on the home stretch. And why? I'm going to put the notes closer together so we can see what this chord is. These two I'm going to jump over here, and these two I'm going to move up here. And as you can see, it's almost the chord with the natural harmonics. So the Star Trek theme starts in a place which already has some slight movement, and from there it goes to various different places, after which it recaps and it continues its gentle movement, kind of like framing the episodes themselves. So if you know how to listen, you now have one more reason to know why you love Star Trek or Star Wars. I mean, personally, I just love the ethics of Star Wars and how reinforcement of the hero's archetype could not be more accurately portrayed by the music. Having said that, the Star Trek